You guys, I can't put into words how amazing this film was, and I don't even know what to critique on it right now because it's so good. It actually knocked off my tube socks right off my shins. This might be one of my favorite films of the year, and the reason is because they brought back the practical effects that made the original so good. And another one is because every single thing that happened affected everything else in the narrative of the film. Every single thing just brought some sort of cause and effect to it. And so I'm going to go deeper into that later on, but right now I'm just going to say that this is going to be more on lore. So if you love lore and you want to know a bit more about the universe and what the universe is portrayed as in the movie, then stick around and I'll earn your likes and subscribes by the end of this video. The film takes place in between the first and the second Alien movies, bringing it back to the roots of what made the franchise so awesome. To set the scene here, the characters we follow are Rain, Andy, Tyler, Kay, Bjorn, and Navarro. We start on the planet Jackson's Star, which is home to a human colony and is affiliated with Weyland, Yutani. Weyland Yutani was a large British-Japanese multinational conglomerate. It was founded in 2099 by the merger of Weyland Corp and Yutani Corporation. Weyland Yutani was primarily a technology supplier, manufacturing synthetics, starships, and computers for a wide range of industrial and commercial clients, making them the household name. Well, too bad they're evil, because they won't let anyone off the planet unless they hit this certain criteria, and they keep adjusting the criteria whenever someone hits that. And so no one can really leave. Andy is a synthetic, which is a biomechanical humanoid that looks like a human but bleeds white fluid instead of blood. The basic premise of this movie is that this group of whippersnappers want to get off the planet and steal a few hypersleep chambers so that they can make the 9-year journey to the planet Vega, where the living conditions are supposed to be a lot better. Kaylee Speeney and David Johnson made an excellent team and have a special bond between each other because they essentially grew up together. Some people would argue that there wasn't much of a connection felt towards Navarro specifically, but I would say that that's pretty much the point of her character. She is a flat character surrounded by a bunch of round characters, and that is much needed in this film. Almost every scene was amped up with tension and anxiety, not just by the visuals, but by the incredible sound design. If the tense music wasn't there, it would feel emptier than my stomach at midday. Now, I'm gonna try and navigate my way through the plot without giving away any spoilers. So they're able to leave the planet on the mining hauler Corbelan. And if you must know, it featured a few mods such as a newly installed airlock panel. They were able to steal it because of Andy's secret codes, since he used to be an android for Weyland Yutani. The group docks onto the space station Renaissance to get the hypersleep pods. Renaissance was a Weyland Yutani Corporation space station mainly comprised of 2 separate modules dubbed Remus and Romulus. The Remus module hosted less advanced technology than its Romulus counterpart. It's since been abandoned for years due to an alien outbreak. I know you guys probably already know this, but when I first watched it, I thought that the spaceship that they were going onto was the same one from the first movie. And I can tell you right now, it's not. I just figured that out. I didn't realize that before. The starship from Alien is called Nostromo, which I didn't know until recently. But the ships are basically identical, and there's a lot of things that happen on the ship that make you think that it's the same ship. Well, that's basically when the story starts to begin, so I shouldn't say much beyond that point. But what I can say is that what I loved about this film is that this is classical narration at its finest form. Every problem, every event, every experience, every tiddlywink detail caused something else to happen. It almost felt like there was no end to the chaos, and yet there was a lot of closure at the end, which was expected, but it was also needed. And almost felt like they were setting it up for another part of the story, which if they are, I would be really excited to see what Fede Alvarez can cook up this time. Another piece of criticism that some people have is that the third act went on for a little too long, with what felt like multiple endings piled up onto each other. But I am willing to debate people on that because, like I just said, everything in this film causes something else to happen. Which means that near the end of the movie, they had all these things that they had to do before the movie could end. Otherwise, it would be unfinished. I mean, you could make the argument that he could spread those problems a little bit more broadly across the spectrum of the story, but I do think it was actually necessary for the overall story to come to a proper close. It made the film feel more realistic while still being set in a dystopian future. In the real world, life comes at you unexpected and you gotta deal with it when it comes. And that is also what the main characters had to do. Right when they thought they were done, there was just another thing that came at them with flying acid and alien juice everywhere. There's so many layers to this movie because of all the problems festering till the very end. A big takeaway for me is that you gotta use practical effects and CGI hand in hand. Because if you use only CGI, it looks really fake. And if you use just practical effects, it can sometimes also look pretty fake too. You've seen Willow. If you've seen The Dark Crystal, that's another one. There's so many other ones that if they had CGI at that time, then it would be able to kind of combine with the practical effects and make it a lot better. You need the perfect formula of CGI to practical effects ratio. That way you can get the best visuals you can possibly get on screen. And this movie did a really good job at that. If I were to review this on Rotten Tomatoes, I would probably give it around a 4.9 out of 5. And if I were to review this on IMDb, I would probably give it a 9 out of 10. My reasoning for not giving it full marks is because the character development could have been a little more fleshed out. Please feel free to leave a like and subscribe, and swap your thoughts in the comments if you're going to see Alien Romulus in theaters. I've swapped my thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one.